Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be going over a pair of boots that I seem to have forgotten. I'm pretty sure that I actually recorded this one, but it must have gotten lost in the shuffle of my files, which, if you could see the giant ridiculous folder I have of a database for videos, you wouldn't be too surprised. But today we're going to be talking about the Silkweave mesh boots. The Silkweave mesh boots are a very excellent pair of boots that you can pick up relatively at a low level and can help just about a large number of characters have a much easier time with the game. And as I go over them, I think you'll feel that it's pretty much the same. Silkweave mesh boots are 130 defense, so they're actually really nice defense. They do have a 65 strength requirement, which is relatively low, especially for the level 36 requirement on the boots, which basically means that just about anybody at level 36 should be able to wear these unless you're going with some sort of like extreme low strength build. We also have 30% faster on walk, which is always nice to have on boots. In fact, usually if boots don't have faster on walk on them, people don't wear them. We also have 190% enhanced defense on these, which does vary from 150 to 190%. So if you're looking for a pair of these to upgrade, you might want to hold out for a pair which is more around 190%, just as somewhere near that level. Because it is a pretty big difference in the amount of defense that you're going to get, especially once upgraded. In its current form, it's the difference between 112 to 130 defense, so not too big. But when we upgrade it, you'll see it's a little bit bigger. We also have 200 defense versus missile, which for a lot of characters who are, ranged characters, defense versus missile is very nice. Even if you're not a ranged character, a melee character can still get pretty good effect from defense versus missile. And to be honest with you, I mean, it's just extra defense. And it basically means that these boots essentially have a defense of, 200, 300, and 330 versus missile, which is a pretty hefty amount of defense. I've always been kind of curious whether or not defense enhancing mechanics also enhance your specific defense, because there's defense versus missile and there's defense versus melee, and if it does, well, I mean, it could be even more effective than we realize. We also have increased maximum mana by 10%, which is massive. When you put these on, which I already have a pair on, you will notice that my mana goes from 648 to 690 relatively easily. And this is because 10% maximum mana means that, well, if I have, a very small amount of mana, that 10% can raise it up much higher. As you can see, I have 2 Soges on, so I've got 20 mana on each Soge and then 25% increase on each Soge. And then I also have the 10% on the boots, so I go from 399 to 436 to 558 to 690. Pretty nice little bump there from having the maximum mana items. And the higher your mana is, the better this effect, obviously has on you. So if you're like an energy shield sorceress or a character that just has a relatively large amount of mana in general, increased maximum mana can be a huge bonus to your mana. Now, it's not necessarily a good bonus for people who have small mana pools, however. So if you are a character who has a relatively tiny mana pool, it's not going to be as big of a benefit to you. We also have another amazing effect on here, which is the +5 to mana after each kill. The +5 to mana after each kill is actually something that can be useful on a wide variety of characters, not just sorceresses, not just caster types, but any character that wants to have a rather large amount of mana come back to them relatively quickly. In fact, one of the most notable uses for this particular pair of boots is the Lightning Fury skill on the Amazon. The Javelin does have the ability to steal mana from the initial target that's hit, and maybe subsequent targets that are hit in the straight line from the Javelin, but none of the lightning bolt effects have any ability to steal mana, and honestly, the physical damage is often sometimes completely neglected or not high enough to even really give a large amount of mana steal back, especially if you're using something like a blue pair of +6 javelins with 40% increased attack speed. So having mana after each kill on a character that can kill relatively quickly is going to fill up all your mana really fast. I mean, think about, you have a pack of 30 cows, right? You throw 1 javelin or 2 javelins into this pack of 30 cows, the 30 cows die, and you get back 5 per cow, which is going to be, what, 5 times 30? which is going to be 150 mana for basically 1 or 2 tosses, right? So a very, very nice effect. And you can combine this, of course, on a Javazon with another really nice item that has mana after each kill, known as the Valkyrie Wing. The Valkyrie Wing helmet, I don't have it on me right now, but it is a helmet, also can have a rather large amount of mana after each kill on it. And in combination with the two, you can be restoring your entire mana pool literally every single time you throw your javelin, which is absolutely amazing. And for characters like sorceresses, paladins, barbarians, it really doesn't matter. Mana after each kill can come in extremely effective, especially in the early points of the game when you don't really have a large mana pool to begin with. And that's one of the biggest issues with a lot of low-level characters, is that your mana pool is just very tiny. And because mana regeneration works off of the size of your mana pool, it's very hard to have good mana regeneration at an early level. And things like +5 mana after each kill can definitely be useful to any character in the game to be able to bypass essentially having such a tiny mana pool. If you take, for instance, a Zeal Paladin only uses about 2 Zeal per attack. If he's killing things relatively quickly, +5 to mana after each kill will take care of his entire mana pool needs, and he will just constantly be filling his mana back up as long as he is killing things. Same thing goes for, a boson. If you're utilizing freezing arrow or exploding arrow and you're killing things at a relatively quick pace, the +5 to mana after each kill can be a huge, huge help to make basically your playtime much easier. Now you can also find Silkweaves in the ethereal form, and they do have a small bump in defense, so they go from 130 to 194. They also only have 55 strength requirement instead of 65. Now, unfortunately, because boots, belts, and gloves cannot be socketed of any type, ethereal boots tend to be relatively not as sought after. You could theoretically use them in PvP because durability doesn't go down in PvP, but they're generally going to not be as useful, and you're probably just going to put them on and use them until they break is what's most likely going to happen. Now, we can upgrade these, and because they are exceptional items, you're going to need some rather high-level runes or mid-tier runes to upgrade this. You're going to need a Lem, an Echo, and a Perfect Diamond. That's going to allow you to upgrade this to the 3rd tier. Now, is the upgrade to the 3rd tier a good one? I mean, if you're going to be using these boots and you have the strength requirement anyway, yes. If you're not going to have the strength requirement, no. But the upgrade is literally just going to be extra defense. So let's take the Silkweave mesh boots and put them in with our Lem Arco and our Perfect Diamond. And we're going to go from 130 defense, 65 strength, level 36, to 118 strength requirement, 176 defense, level 61. Not too bad. 118 is far below the 156 that most characters try to shoot for with the Monarch Shield, so not bad. And the ethereal version can also be upgraded if you wanted to get the most out of it. And this is actually one thing that I've noticed when doing these upgrades, is that the durability resets when you upgrade the item. So if you did have a pair of these that was ethereal and you wanted to elongate the usefulness of them for a little while until you maybe found another pair, you could theoretically upgrade them to restore the durability temporarily, of course not permanently, to elongate your usefulness of them. So the ethereal version is going to go from 194 defense, 55 strength, level 36, to 272 defense, 108 strength requirement, level 61. Not bad. We also need to cover one more aspect of these boots, and I'm going to show you the kick damage. So to see kick damage on boots, you have to look at them from an assassin. This is something that a lot of people don't know unless they actually play an assassin. Same thing with smite damage. A lot of people don't know that smite damage even exists unless they play a paladin. So if you take a look at these boots on an assassin, you will see that the Silkweave mesh boots has a kick damage of 23 to 52, which is not bad. And the Silkweave boneweave boots have a kick damage of 69 to 118. As you can see, a very nice upgrade in the kick damage there for an assassin. Now, if you were an assassin specifically who wanted to have a large amount of mana, but also wanted a pretty good amount of kicks, this could be an interesting option. It's obviously not going to be the best option as far as kick damage is concerned, but much better, obviously, than using the unupgraded versions at 23 to 52. As you can see, the bump in damage from 23 to 52 to 69 to 118 is a massive one as far as kick damage is concerned. And if you were utilizing these boots specifically on your character, very, very, very nice boots for mana consumption issues. It would increase your maximum mana. It will also increase, obviously, your mana after each kill. And quite honestly, just very nice to have a good high damage pair of boots as opposed to a low damage pair of boots. When you're thinking about assassins, always think about potentially upgrading the boots so you can get better kick damage if you are using any kind of ability that uses kicks. Let's take a look over at Silo's Pen real quick, and let's see where we could potentially find this item if we wanted to get our hands on it, right? Alright, so here we are over on Silo's Pen, and we're taking a look at the Silkweave Boots. They are level 36 items, so I'm going to put it at 100% magic find because we're assuming that someone's actually going to try and find these on level. And as far as bosses go, sorted by probability and ignoring the quest flags, it does look like Nightmare Mephisto seems to be your best bet at 1 and 1,399. Now, the problem with this is that they're level 36 boots, and level 36 is really the end of normal difficulty, not nightmare difficulty. You're probably never going to get to and fight Mephisto at level 36. You're usually going to be a lot higher than that if you follow the correct course of events. And so Mephisto in Nightmare, although a good choice, is not, however, a good choice for a character who's trying to find these early on. Diablo in Nightmare, also a pretty good choice just to farm, but obviously also not a good choice for a character who's trying to get their hands on these early. The Cow King in Hell, no, not as good as Nightmare Mephisto. We got some pretty crappy chances here from a lot of these monsters. I'm actually kind of surprised. 1 in 10,000, 1 in 12,000, and it's escalating very quickly. Looks like Nightmare Act 3 is really like the soonest that you see this. Fire Eye in Nightmare, Palicella level 3, so that's a pretty easy one to farm, but it's 1 in 16,665, which is kind of insanely high. Let's up the magic find by about 100%. Let's bring it to 200 just to see if any of those probabilities drop dramatically. No, it's still 1 in 13,505. Pretty terrible chances, to be honest with you. I mean, so far, I'm seeing a lot of monsters that are either Act 2 Nightmare or Act 3 Nightmare. Pretty much nothing in Act 1 Nightmare. I'm pretty sure there's nothing in normal. Yeah, if I click on normal, there's no way you can get your hands on this at normal difficulty. Eliminating hell difficulty from the list. It does look like Nightmare Andorial has a pretty decent chance at 1 in 6,198. Nowhere near as good, obviously, as Mephisto at 1 in 1,034. But if you were at the beginning of Nightmare difficulty, which is more around the level that you'd actually be if you wanted to get your hands on a pair of these at level 36, Nightmare Andorial definitely would be a lot easier farm than Nightmare Mephisto. And let's take a look at super uniques again, see if there's like anything on the list that strikes out at me. I mean, Stormtree and Lower Kurast and Fire Eye and Palicella level 3 are like the only two on this list that are like really easy to get to and relatively, you know, like not in hell difficulty. Like I mean hell, you know, like Act 5, Act 4. And Stormtree is not so far like deep within Act 3 that it's impossible to get to. Dark Elder in the Lost City is always, or I'd say always, but he's usually by the Ancient Tunnels entrance. So he's always in Lost City, but he's not always next to the Ancient Tunnel entrance. He usually is, though. He's not as easy to locate as Fire Eye or Stormtree because he doesn't have a set location. And, I mean, there's a lot of choices here, but most of these are just, like, way after. I mean, there's Bone Ash right there. That's Act 1. 1 in 20,098 chance. It's pretty rare. It's pretty ridiculously rare. Although I will say he's very ridiculously easy to farm. He's on the same. Honestly, I think he's actually easier to farm than Pindleskin, in my opinion, because there's usually next to nothing like really around him, and even when there is, it's usually pretty easy to kill. And even if you didn't want to kill those things, you can. You can just teleport straight to the cathedral altar, and you just kill Bone Ash and leave. Like you don't even really have to fight anything else if you don't want to. If you're sneaky about it, you can usually get in and get out really quickly. Honestly, a little bit faster than you can Pindleskin, and that might actually be the best choice at 1 in 20,000, which is a pretty terrible drop rate. I mean, even if I was running 400% Magic Find, Bone Ash is still 1 in 16,761, so it's definitely something that's going to be difficult to find on level. That is part of the issue. And a lot of Nightmare Uniques are like this. A lot of Nightmare Uniques have issues finding them on level. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these videos. Silkweaves are definitely some very interesting boots, and very nice to get your hands on, especially early ladder, because they can propel you forward very quickly with that +5 to mana after each kill and the increased maximum mana, along with a rather nice defense versus missile and run walk speed. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.